Good evening. Welcome to the Napoleon Memoirs, where we obsess over the minutiae of Napoleon's incredible life. I can never get enough of this stuff. I love it. Anyway, welcome. Okay, so we're going to get right into the memoirs of Count Charles Tristan Montagne. He had to be the one who put all that arsenic in Napoleon. Someone did it. Had to be him. Had to be him. But boy, he talks a good game. I get it. We always wonder, how did he fool Napoleon? Of all people. But he did. Anyways, let's continue. Notwithstanding all their libels, I fear nothing for my own renown. Posterity will render me justice. It will compare the good which I have done with the faults which I have committed. I do not fear the result. If I had succeeded, I should die with the reputation of being the greatest man who ever existed. From being nothing, I became, by my own exertions, the most powerful monarch of the universe without committing any crimes. If crime had been in accordance with my opinions, neither Louis XVIII nor Ferdinand would now reign. Many times their heads been offered to me for a price, and their death has been daily put forward to me as advisable. I refused. I do not regret it. My ambition was great, I confess it, but it rested on the opinion of the masses. I've always thought that sovereignty resides in the people. The empire, as I had organized it, was but a great republic, called to the throne by the voice of the people. My maxim has always been a career open to talent, without distinction of birth. And it is for this system of equality that the European oligarchy detests me. And yet in England, talent and great services raise a man to the highest rank. You should have understood me. The Englishmen listen with all their ears, and the expression of their countenances showed the effect produced upon them. We were all really sorry when the Emperor gruffly ceased speaking, rose from table, and went up upon the deck to take his usual after-dinner walk. The first person he saw there was a clergyman, a kind of original, whom the young people amused themselves by turning into ridicule. The Emperor sent for him, spoke of religion to him, and placing him thus on the field of his true worth, found some pleasure in changing his questions into a regular controversy. From that day forward, no one ventured to ridicule the poor man. The Emperor had raised him in the eyes of all, and thenceforth his theological knowledge compensated for the absurdity of his face and manners. The Negro and the sea and the taking of a shark were the only two events which broke the monotony of the voyage from this day till the 15th of October. When, during dinner time, the lookout announced, St. Helena is sitting down at table. The admiral had said to the Emperor, this evening you will see land. That's the end of that chapter. I'll stop that right there. So, let's reflect on the slaving ways of the British Empire, which we hear so little about. There was a slave on this ship who rather jump over than continue to be a slave under this empire. This is a slaving empire, okay? And because they do control the media, we don't hear about that very much. And this poor man jumped overboard as he rather die than live under this. And it gets to that point, when you're living under such injustice, Anyway, so Montagne's referring to that, this poor black man who jumped overboard because he didn't want to be a slave anymore to these horrible people. Anyway, they caught a shark. They caught a shark. We hear about all this. This is terrible. But he's referring to things he thinks you know about because all the other memoirs mention them. Anyway, so let's get into this cast in Italian. It's so sad, it's so powerful, but what can we do? Just look at it and learn about it and understand that we are facing some huge challenges. And together we can overcome them, together. So here we go. Let's find out where we gotta be. Okay, we're gonna do Italian best we can. We love Italian language and music, as we all know. Parole degli imperadori, sole della spedizione d'Oriente. Sabato 30, domenica 31. Il tempo continua ad essere cattivo e tutti noi ne soffriamo e per sopra cielo ratti e pulci e infestando il nostro sonno ne è storbato a segno che le pene della notte stanno ora a quelli del giorno. E 31 il tempo s'era rimesso del tutto sul bello. Noi uscimmo in calesi, gli imperatori parlando dell'Egitto e della Siria, dissi che se avessi preso San Giovanni d'Acri avrebbe operato una rivoluzione nell'Oriente. Piccolissime cose producono i più grandi avvenimenti. L'inezza di un capitano di fragata che tenne il largo invece di forzare il passaggio nel porto o qualche contrasto lievissimo impedirono che fossi cacciata faccia al mondo. Superato San Giovanni d'Acri, l'armata francese volava a Damasco, ad Aleppo, sul Eufrate, i cristiani della Siria, i drusi, i cristiani dell'Armenia e tutte le popolazioni levate ad entusiasmo si sarebbero congiunto ad essa. Uno di noi soggiunse che sarebbe stata raggiunta da altri 100.000 uomini, dite 600.000, riprese l'imperatore, che più immaginarsi ciò che sarebbe accaduto? Sarei giunto a Costantinopoli e alle Indie, avrei insomma mutato l'aspetto del mondo. Lunedì 1, martedì 2, tutti che riguarda l'imperatore parmi deve riuscire a tutti prezioso. Per questo mi aggingo che a descrivere le sue dimore con molti particolari relativi, forse verrà giorno in cui suo figlio si piacerà di riprodurre il carcere paterno col riunire quegli oggetti che gli possono rendere una maggiore somiglianza. L'appartamento dell'imperatore è composto da 2 sale lunghi ciascuna, 15 piedi larga, 12 alte 7, un brutto tappeto ne copre il tavolato. Ad entrambi sono tappati da rasci di napkin. Dalla camera, dal letto A vedessi a destra il piccolo letto da campo, dove dorme l'imperatore, e a sinistra il sofà sul quale sta riposando. Il più da giorno era tesso ingombro da libri che sembravano disputargli l'uso, vicino è un tavolo che gli serve per far collezione e pranzare. E quando sta ritirato alla sera per mettervi sopra una lampada a 3 braccioli coperte da un gran paralume. So Napoleon's saying if he hadn't been defeated Sichan Dakra in the Middle East, he was fighting in Egypt. Who is he fighting in English? In the Middle East. He's fighting the English. He always fought. They stopped him because they are so good on the sea. Give them credit for that. But he's saying he could have really done a lot of good if he hadn't been stopped then. And Liscazis goes on to describe the very sad, meager living conditions he had in St. Helena. It's very pathetic. I can't even handle it. And his wife, his second wife, that was still his wife, Marie Louise, he's got a big portrait of her in front of him all the time, holding their son. And she was, I don't want to go into it, but he had a portrait of her in front of him all the time, holding their son. I don't know how he could even, but he was always trying to keep up this impression that she was a good person. She wasn't a good person. She really wasn't a good person. But he wanted to keep up that impression for his son so that people would think well of him and hopefully that she would live up to that and act like a human being. That never happened, unfortunately. I mean, I've gone through Marie Louise's, his second wife's letters, and she's just always saying, oh, it's okay, whatever I did, because it was a political marriage, and, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. They can justify anything to themselves. As long as they get to little puppet jobs. She got a little puppet position in Parma. She got to be somebody. So she got her little prize for doing what she did to Napoleon. And I just want people to understand there's patterns here. If people do their job and betray humanity like she did, they get their little fake thrones where English gold runs their lives and gets to do other crimes through them. And you should read these letters. She doesn't know what she's signing. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's got a handler, this Nightbird. She's crazy about him. She loves him. What did he do? He's got one eye. He didn't live long. She had a certain malignant touch to her. Everybody around her doesn't do well. And she always said she was cursed. And why was she cursed? Where did that come from? She always said that. So they sent a second wife to Napoleon who they knew was cursed. And then as soon as she gets near Napoleon, Napoleon's cursed as well. And even her handler's cursed because he dies very quickly. And her children don't seem like they were all that happy either. So her children with Neipperg, of course. And her other child, who of course didn't live very long, her child was Napoleon. So there's a very malignant thing around her. So I think there's a real case to be made that she was cursed. And, we should feel bad for her. But we need to understand these things. There's spiritual things going on. And they knew she was cursed. And they sent her to Napoleon. And that was his downfall, this second wife. Oh, my goodness. Lavalette never liked Marie Louise. That's for sure. Okay, so we're going to get back into Lavalette. Okay, so we know that Emily said to Lavalette, and I didn't say this yesterday, but she said to him, she said, if you die, I die. So I have to do this. And that's dedication. That's devotion. That's what I'd like to see, something real. Okay. So she's saying, look, I can't live without you. I don't know how he won her over so much, but he did. She was a good person, so over time she realized that she was lucky to be with him. Anyway, it tears me up with Emily and Lavalette. So basically they're just about to freaking guillotine poor Lavalette, an innocent man, pure pure man, good man. You know, Napoleon said to him, "You're the most honest person I know." Napoleon put him in charge of spying on the mail because he was good. Okay, so under Napoleon, the spies were like the best people. Okay, look, Napoleon had to have spies. He had to find out what's going on. He had to protect himself. He had to protect his empire. He put the best people in charge, and Lavalette never betrayed these secrets against the people who were going to kill him, who almost killed him, who drove his wife crazy. And he still didn't tell the secrets. So this guy Lavalette had incredible integrity, unbelievable integrity. So he was an unusual person, and we really do want to celebrate him and honor people like him. And hopefully, we're going to find other people like Lavalette. I hope so. Oh my goodness. Where are you, Lavalettes? Come on out. Because we want to see you. We want to celebrate you. And we want to live in a world where good people are honored, not these collaborators and Satanists and stuff. You know, we want to have a new paradigm. I'm hoping for it. Like, it's not going to happen if we don't fight for it. So we might as well fight for it. All right, poor Lavalette. So he's saying to his wife, "Look, Emily, I know you really want to switch places with me. This sounds like a terrible idea, but I'll do it if you want." This is so sad. Anyways, so that's what she does. She switches places with him. And it drives her crazy because it's disgusting to be in jail. For a sensitive, beautiful person like Emily, so it drove her crazy. This is horrible. She never got her mind back. Plus je réfléchis à son projet, plus il me paraissait impraticable. Elle est plus grande que moi de près de mes pouces. Tous les geôliers étaient habitués à me voir. Sa taille était souple et élancée. Il est vrai que le chagrin m'avait singulièrement maigri, mais enfin la différence devait sauter aux yeux. De notre côté, j'étais si bien préparée à mourir. Je remettais, il est vrai, aux délibérations depuis 2 jours, et je ne ferai pas usage de l'armée que j'avais cachée. Toute cette toilette du bureau, cette marche si longue sur une charrette et la conciergerie à la grève me donnant de l'émotion, mais enfin le cœur restait ferme. Et voilà qu'il me faut détourner les yeux de la mort. Mais j'étais dans tous les états d'un projet de fuite impossible à réaliser et qui me paraissait extravagant. Les burlesques allaient se mêler à la tragédie, car je serais repris sous des habits de femme. Et peut-être arrondir la barbarie de me produire aux yeux du public sous le ridicule travestissement. Mais de notre côté, comment la refuser? Elle paraissait si heureuse de son projet, si assurée de son succès. Ne pas lui tenir parole sera la tuer. Le lendemain, on dit que je me tourmentais encore de ces tristes pensées. Elle arriva, j'ai pris tel que, en me quittant levé au soir, elle avait fait prendre ses porteurs le chemin de la rue du Bac et qu'elle avait quitté sa chaise à quelques pas de l'hôtel des affaires étrangères, Monsieur Radou lui avait conseillé de faire une dernière tentative auprès de sa ministre. Mais pour arriver à lui, il fallait employer la ruse. Elle demanda au Suisse l'appartement de M. Bresson, trésorier du ministère. Et comme il demeurait dans la première cour, il s'arrêta quelques minutes sur les premières marches de l'escalier et se glissa ensuite dans les secondes cours et parvint jusqu'à l'antichambre du ministre. Son Excellence dit, lui dit-on, je tendrai le valet de chambre, auquel elle s'adressait, la reconnut et courut se plaindre au Suisse auquel elle avait été consignée dès le matin. Car sa présence à la porte de Madame la Duchesse d'Angoulême avait donné l'éveil partout. Le Suisse arriva, toute troublée, parmi beaucoup de reproches, et il lui dit: Vous m'exposez à perdre ma place. Je vous ai trompé. Vous n'êtes donc pas sans faute. Je veux voir le ministre. S'il est sorti, je l'attendrai. S'il est chez lui, je passerai la nuit dans cette salle. On ne m'en fera sortir que par la violence. Allez le dire à votre maître. Que pouvait faire le ministre? Il la fit entrer. Madame la Valette lui fit un exposé clair et rapide du procès. Louis exprima avec force toute l'injustice de ma condamnation, et elle finit par implorer son appui auprès du roi. Le duc de Richelieu l'écoutait, les yeux baissés, il paraissait touché, mais enfin, il lui avoua que le roi lui avait ordonné de ne plus prononcer au nom sur cette affaire. Alors, monsieur, sauvez-le vous-même. Madame, ce serait un crime. Ne pourriez-vous du moins lui présenter un nouveau mémoire en mon nom? Le duc, saisissant avec empressement cette idée, lui répondit: Je le veux bien. Envoyez-le-moi demain à 8 heures et je vous donne ma parole qui sera remis dans le délai à Sa Majesté. Je suis allée, me dit Amélie, chez l'avocat depuis ce mémoire. Monsieur de Richelieu, j'ai reçu ce matin. Il doit être maintenant dans les mains du roi. Cependant, mon rejet s'exécutera ce soir. Il ne serait plus temps demain, sans doute, puisque nous n'avons reçu aucune nouvelle du château. Je vais entrer dîner avec vous. Conservez votre fermeté. Nous en aurons besoin. Pour moi, je me sens sans cœur de courage. Je peux 24 heures, pas peu loin de plus, ajouta-t-elle en soupirant. Je suis d'ailleurs exténuée de fatigue. Elle avait raison de compter les heures. À peine était-elle sortie que le concierge entra à midi. Un des rédacteurs à la quotidienne est venu me demander s'il était vrai que vous aviez fait venir 4 confesseurs et si peut imprimer dans son journal. 4, c'est beaucoup. Et qu'avez-vous répondu? La vérité, c'est que je n'en ai pas encore fait entrer un seul. J'ai vu bien que c'était un avertissement détourné. Il faut encore attendre. Tantôt, je vous donnerai l'adresse d'une ecclésiastique. Toute la journée est encore à moi. Il ne me répondit rien et se retira en remuant la tête. Bientôt après arriva monsieur de Gravoisin. En entrant, il se jeta dans mes bras et se mit à pleurer. Je le fis asseoir. Je cherchais à la calmer, ma tranquillité le remis un peu. Le curé de Saint-Sulpice sort de chez moi, me dit-il, et ne vous refusera pas ses secours spirituels si vous l'exigez, puisque vous êtes son paroissien, mais je vous demande de grâce pour lui. Il assistait le maréchal Ney à ses derniers moments, a-t-il avoué que cette scène lui avait fait tant de mal qu'il ne se sentait pas la force d'en éprouver une seconde. Cependant, il est prêt à venir si vous insistez. Remerciez-le, mon ami. J'ai un autre ecclésiastique quand je le ferai venir ce soir, mais pas avant. D'excellents hommes voulaient entrer dans quelques détails. Mais il n'en avait plus la force. Ma fille entra dans ce moment, accompagnée de la vieille terreur de la veille. Oh, gloire! Joséphine pleurait au silence. La religieuse se lamentait. Qu'ai-je fait à Dieu, disait-elle, pour être témoin à ses horreurs et ses soupirs, ses sanglots et ses invocations sans fin, conseillant à mériter. Je sentais que j'allais tomber comme une vieille femme si je ne mettais promptement fin à cette scène. J'ai pris donc commissaire des cadavres sympas. Embrassez-moi, retirez-vous sans bruit. Votre douleur me fait mal. Adieu, n'oubliez pas. Et je le conduisis doucement à la porte. Et j'aurais voulu conserver ma fille beaucoup plus longtemps, mais ce jour me déchirait le cœur. Je l'ai pris sur mes genoux. Sa tête s'abandonnait sur ma poitrine. Je voulais lui parler, mais les mots s'arrêtaient au passage. Il lui fut impossible de prononcer quelques paroles de consolation. Enfin, je l'ai déposé sur une chaise et je m'ai mis à parcourir la chambre, cherchant en vain à respirer. Il fallait donc prendre encore mon parti avec elle. Retourne au couvent, lui dis-je. Je te verrai encore demain. Je te le promets. Mes affaires vont mieux qu'on ne croit. Non, dis rien à personne, mais sois sûr que je te verrai demain. À peine fut-elle partie, que toute ma fermeté m'abandonna. Je fondis aux larmes au dernier regard de mon unique enfant. Et j'ai bien de la peine à reprendre courage, mais enfin j'y parviens. So Emily goes to I think the Duke of Richelieu, and he begs for his life. And everybody knows this is the most evil thing imaginable, to kill Hamlet. Everybody knows he's such a good man. I mean, above average, fantastic man. They're going to kill him because these puppets need terrorism to stay in power. And the people have to be terrorized. And that's how English gold keeps their puppets in power, through terrorizing the population. Terrorism is how they do it. And this has been going on for at least 200 years. Okay. So these are terrorist puppet regimes that are, the strings are being pulled by English gold. Okay. So this is a British Empire that's been running the world for 200 years through terrorism. And they tell you it's every single other thing in the world, but it's English gold doing it. And I call them English gold because that's what Napoleon called them. Okay? Napoleon knew exactly who he's fighting. Okay? He knew exactly who he's up against. He barely talked about the English royal family. Okay? They were puppets. Okay? By the 1800s, they were puppets. Mm-hmm. And all of these agents and all of these assassins were sent out by English gold. Okay. And you can figure out exactly who I'm talking about. Okay. Anyway, so I believe it's the Duke of Richelieu, certainly Richelieu. And Emily's saying, look, you got to save my husband. And he's saying, look, I don't know what to do for you because Louis the 18th, look, they have to keep the terrorism going. How else are they going to stay in power? He was just when Napoleon came back, he ran screaming because they have no sovereignty, these people. Everybody hates these puppets. Who are the puppets right now? You can go fill in those blanks. Okay? These are puppets. All of these people are puppets. These are not elected. They are not sovereign rulers of any stretch of the imagination. So Lavalette has all of these priests and religious figures trying to come in to save his soul because he's about to be guillotined, and everybody knows he's such a good man. And he's listening to them. I don't think he was really that religious, but he appreciates the sympathy. And then his little 13-year-old daughter, Josephine, comes in. And she's just at his knees, and he can't even talk. He can't even say anything to her anymore because he's so upset by what this is doing to his poor little daughter, Josephine. And finally he says, "Look, there's hope, there's hope, there's hope. I might get out of this, you know. I'm gonna see you tomorrow, okay?" And that's what I just read to you, French. Okay, this is tragic stuff, Keenan Helen. Anyway, like I said, listen to this in English. I could barely get through in English. I was worse in English, actually. Because, like, in English, I really understand. In French, it's a little detachment. French is not by no means my native language. Anyway, but this is one of the great stories within the Napoleonic saga where Emily Lavalette does this for her husband. She didn't want to marry. Napoleon made them get married. She literally went to Napoleon and said, "Look, I really want to marry your brother Louis. Get me out of this marriage at Lavalette." Napoleon said, "No way." And look, Napoleon was very weird with marriages. He was not going to let Louis marry a daughter of an emigre. Go figure out why. He wasn't. The emigres were viewed as traitors. So she was like the daughter of a traitor. Was her father a traitor? Basically, they ran off. But these are the aristocrats who ran off and basically went to England and started to fight with the enemy. That's what the emigres did. So they were viewed as traitors. And to a degree, I guess they were. But if they stayed, they were guillotined. Like I said, like her uncle was guillotined, Hortense's father, Alexandre de Beauharnais. So either you were a traitor, you were guillotined. And people need to understand these reigns of terror. They are orchestrated by the secret societies. Look it up. They will do everything in the world to throw sand in your eyes so you won't understand the roles that secret societies are playing in all this. This is all scripted, orchestrated. This is why they give me so much trouble. But I've had it, and they come after me, and they are organized crime, okay? They're all connected, and I've had it, okay? So come for me. I'm sick of it. We can't live like this. And we all should be standing up to organized crime. We cannot live like this. It's horrible. Anyway, so like you said, that's why I do this, so people can understand. And I think people do understand. They just don't have the courage. But if you don't have the courage, at least support me, Okay, so we're going to get into this poisoning by, as I've said many times, this incredible Swedish toxicologist named Sven Forvesjord figured out that Napoleon was being, there's this method of slowly poisoning people with arsenic. So if they do it slowly enough, it looks like natural causes. And then in the end, they finish them off with something like calomel or some kind of mixture they give them. And then they can't get caught for killing the person. And this is an aristocrat method of murdering people. And it does have to do with witchcraft. And if you get into witchcraft, you realize a lot of it's like poisoning people. It's potions. Okay, that's a poison. So he figured this out. So this was a poisoning method that was very much in use. I wrote a play about this. It's called Longwood. And my play was all about this Marcel and Napoleon and Marchand, because that was like kind of the main three people at the end of Napoleon. And Marchand adored Napoleon. And Marcel was up to something. We all know he was up to something. And I thought that was an interesting relationship. And as that was in the 90s, the late 90s that I did this play. And all these years, I'm still talking about it. I actually think I was actually very accurate in that play. At that point, I was like, oh, you can't ever know anything. You can know things. That's what they're tricking us into thinking, that the truth can't be known. It can be known to a large degree. Anyway, so I think this, from what I can tell, this is written in plain Spanish, at least plain language. So hopefully we can understand. At least I can understand, tell you what's going on. But basically, what I saw in the prefacio is that Stan is saying, look, you can find out if somebody's been poisoned. You gotta freaking look them up, and you gotta take the tests, and you can find out how much poison they have in them. and Napoleon had a ton of poison in him. And then they tell you, oh, there's poison everywhere. Everybody had poison. These are liars. Okay, so if you even go into the cover up of what stand for, which is there's a ton of cover up. Let's just get into it, okay? I can't believe it. Anyway, de hecho, el propio Orfila había indicado el camino hacia la utilización de las otras ciencias con fines toxicológicos. Así enseña a controlar la acción de los venenos en animales de laboratorio, método fisiológico, que en realidad había sido utilizado mucho antes para experimentar el efecto de brebajes mortales preparados por los grandes envenenadores de la antigüedad. Este cuerpo de doctrina técnica ha destinado a revelar con claridad el envenenamiento. Solo pudo ser radiado, establecido gracias a un desarrollo prodigioso de la química y de las demás ciencias analíticas. Desde finales del siglo XVIII hasta nuestros días. Antes la toxicología había sido sobre todo la ciencia de los venenos, o mejor aún, la ciencia de la utilización de los venenos. La historia de la antigüedad, la del Imperio Romano y del Renacimiento, sin olvidar la historia de Francia y en especial la época de Luis XIV, están ilustradas por la actuación de envenenadores célebres, expertos en el arte de preparar complicados brebajes. El veneno de los Borgia y el de las Brinviers son los más conocidos venenos que, administrados con hábil discreción, eran capaces de hacer abandonar este mundo con todas las apariencias de una muerte natural. El aspecto natural de la muerte, unido a la imposibilidad de proceder el análisis del cuerpo, ya que las ciencias analíticas aplicables a los venenos no existían, aún así que por lo general el crimen por envenenamiento quedará sin castigo. Por lo demás, cuando el toxicólogo es consulto sobre las cosas de la muerte, se le informa del resultado de las investigaciones que en aquel momento existen en el expediente, de los testimonios relativos a las circunstancias en que se ha producido la muerte y, por fin, la atmósfera, el clima psicológico, familiar, otra que ha rodeado a la presunta víctima. Esta información es muy importante porque permite que el toxicólogo considere como verosímil o simplemente posible la tesis del envenenamiento, las diversas manifestaciones más o menos anormales que hayan podido aportarse sobre el comportamiento del sujeto. En una palabra, la sintomatología puede orientar hacia la hipótesis de un envenenamiento por tal o cual sustancia y en consecuencia orientar posteriormente con mayor precisión hacia su búsqueda. Cuando después de la investigación el envenenamiento parece posible, hay que buscar para poder demostrarlo científicamente. Entonces se plantea el asunto de la exhumación, así como el de la eficiencia de los exámenes que pueden realizarle. sobre los vestigios cadavéricos. Es muy difícil dar a priori una respuesta a esta doble cuestión. Se sabe que durante la intoxicación constituida por un conjunto de reacciones complejas y de interacciones entre la sustancia venenosa y el organismo, cierta cantidad de tóxico absorbido se elimina, sea por los vómitos y las deposiciones fecales, sea por los riñones, para no hablar de la destrucción metabólica en el interior de los órganos. De estos fenómenos resulta que sí, un examen toxicológico de los órganos puede ser efectuado poco después de la muerte. Las cantidades de tóxico que se hallarán en los órganos serán necesariamente inferiores a las que hayan introducido en el organismo. Yeah, he's just explaining the methods of how you find out if someone's poisoned. You have to go through biological materials, and you have to go through the cadaver, and you have to understand the history of poisoning and how poisoning has been done. So there's a whole history of poisoning. And in the 1600s, there was a woman named Brinvilliers. I want to say it right. Brinvilliers? Madame de Brinvilliers. And she was in the 1600s. And a lot of this horrible stuff comes from the 1600s. Okay, so it's the 1600s is where a lot of this just horrible aristocratic stuff took hold. And she was, she killed someone. I want to say someone she was going to inherit money from. I want to say her father, or maybe her husband. I don't remember. But I believe it was the Duchess of Brinvilliers. And she knew how to poison very slowly so she could get away with it. And in the end, I think she actually did not get away with it. But it came out that there's this whole like witchcraft aristocratic thing where they're just going around poisoning people. And this was in the 1600s. And then you go into like Sabotage the V and Oliver Cromwell, and how there's this thing in Europe, and it really starts to take hold in the 1600s. And by the 1800s, it's like established. I can't figure it all out. I stay very concentrated on Napoleonic history because there's just so much data about it, and it's so congruent, and there's so much information. And I'm sure that's because people were trying to honor Napoleon, and they knew that Napoleon wanted everything to be documented because he wanted the truth to come out. So we're very fortunate that we can find out the truth about Napoleon. Like you said, the people that run things create this whole illusion that we can't know anything. Napoleon did everything to have his death understood. I don't believe them. They are liars. If somebody has no credibility and they don't tell the truth and their story isn't straight, don't listen to them. Whenever they roll out one of the stories, I think, oh, who's telling me this story? Do they have any credibility? I don't even care what they're saying. If they have no credibility, I'm going to tune it out. And I'm not going to believe a word they say. It's so important. Oh, they're all saying it all over the media. Those are not credible people. You need to find out who runs that. It's very difficult to get people to understand the scale of the lies going on. It's horrible. You know, the lying is out of control. But all we can do is fight, you know. So please join me in fighting every chance you got. You know, we can all do a lot if we all play our part. You know, we can make this world a better place if we want to. You know, it's a question of will. You know, they have a lot of will. We can have a lot of will too. Right? I think so. All right. Speaking of will, let's get back into fractal German. Will is a German word, you know. It's the same word in German. Anyway, so we always want to honor our German friends. Like, why am I so pro-German? Because I've been told to not like them. You know, since I was a child, I've been told the Germans are evil and Germans are no good and all this stuff. And it's like, that's not true. And even as a child, I mean, I will tell you this. As a child, in the 70s, watching way too much television. But look, that's why I'm like this. I watched way too much television. And I was getting brainwashed that the Germans were evil. And I was like, my like I was a little Portuguese kid actually, and my friends were little German kids in this working class town, and I was like, the people in this town are German. They're great. They treated me great. And I was like, we were the one immigrant family, and we were very this whole immigrant thing. We were the immigrants nobody wanted in the town. But once they got to know us, they liked us. That's the truth. That's actually the truth. And my little friends were little German kids. I mean, not German, little American German kids. But I was like, these are nice people. They were always nice to me. So I knew I was being lied to as a child. And it hurt me. I was upset. I was like, why is the TV lying to me? I always knew the TV was lying to me. Why do they have to lie to us so much? And then you have to ask yourself, what kind of people lie all the time? And then it's horrific to realize the truth that we are under a regime of people who lie all the time. Who lies all the time? Who is the Prince of Lies? Oh, I said it, Who's the Prince of Lies? Anyway, so let's get back into German. So I always had a good experience with German people. Like I said, American German people, but I didn't get it. I didn't get why my American television was telling me to hate Germans. I didn't get that. And I still don't. And I rebel against that. And I know that it's not right. It's not right to vilify countries. And why is this being done to us? And there's a reason. Okay, there's a reason for all these lies we're told. And it's all like planned and orchestrated. Sollte sich etwa nach Vollendung unserer Ausrüstungen und bei Erneuerung des entscheidenden Augenblicks die Engländer und Sorge für ihre Insel an der Spitze ihrer Hauptarsenal Plymouth, Portsmouth und der Themse versammelt haben, als dann dringen unsere drei Kurven Brest, Cherbourg und Antwerpen gegen sie vor und unsere Flügel umgingen sie der zielen Zug nach Irland und Schottland. Sollte sie sich im Vertrauen auf ihre Geschicklichkeit und ihren Mut entschließe sich in Masse dazu bieten. Als dann stand alles auf der entscheidenden Spitze und wir hatten dafür selbst die Seite den Ort, die Jahreszeit gewählt. Dieser nannte nun der Kaiser seine Schlacht von Aktion, in welcher wenn wir geschlagen werden, bloß sind wir Lust erlitten während der Feinde, wenn wir siegten mit seiner Existenz wussten mussten und konnten. Wir aber, sagte er, bloß siegen, denn die beiden Nationen standen dann in Massen gegeneinander. Und wir waren 40 und einige Millionen gegen 15. Er kam immer darauf zurück. Dieser war einer seiner großen Ideen, einer seiner riesenharten Konzeptionen. Napoleon hatte so wunderbare Schöpfungen hervorgebracht, dass seine Werke, seine Denkmäler einen der Türke ihre Anzahl, ihre Mannigfaltigkeit, Wichtigkeit in Schatten stellen konnten. Daher wollte ich hier bloß den allgemeinen Umriss seiner in Cherbourg geführten Arbeiten sowie seine weiteren Pläne für diesen Ort anführen. Einer Domäne von Wacker und eines seiner ersten Zierden hatte mir einen Entwurf darüber versprochen. Wenn er mir vertellt, so wird man diesen in dem nächsten Bande antreffen. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you listening to my rants. Can't stop ranting. Anyway, have a really nice evening. Thank you for spending time with me. Good night.